Hello people of YouTube, 'tis I once more, the Crimson Assassin, here today to give you guys the review I promised during my update video on a certain anime movie, on a certain franchise that's near and dear to my heart. I love this franchise. I gave you my thoughts on the latest installment of this franchise a while ago. I'm here to talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh movie, Yu-Gi-Oh! Bond Beyond Times. So, Yu-Gi-Oh! Bond Beyond Times basically follows our three main protagonists from the original three Yu-Gi-Oh! From GX to the original to 5Ds, as this certain guy out of nowhere is trying to fuck up with time and wants to basically get rid of all dueling and shit. So what he does is that he goes on this time travel rampage and starts doing some weird stuff. So then our main characters just show up and they're like, no bitch, we're gonna stop this mofo and we're gonna do it together as friends. So the three team up and they going to defeat this dude, and that's it. That's basically the simplest way I could put the story of this film together. Now, to be honest, people of YouTube, I've seen some things about the movie. I've definitely, this is actually my second time watching the film, and in all honesty, people, I kind of like it. Like, there's so many things about the movie that are okay, but there's some things about the movie that just kind of pissed me off, okay? And we'll talk about that in just a moment. Hold on. I grew up with all three of these Yu-Gi-Ohs. The original, GX, and 5Ds. And then after 5Ds, I didn't watch Zexal, and then Arc 5 was like the last thing, but then I started watching Arc 5, fell in love with Arc 5, I caught up to Arc 5, now I'm watching Zexal, and Zexal's okay so far. But I loved the original three. I loved GX, the original, and 5Ds. Those were my favorites of all time. Especially 5Ds. I love 5Ds. I love the original. I barely remember anything from GX, but I remember 5Ds the most. And I just absolutely get a kick out of watching Arc 5Ds. I was to say Arc 5. So when I saw that there was this movie about basically the three main protagonists from each of the series, I thought, great, cool, I'll give it a whirl. So then I watched it, and like I said before, it's nothing to really write home about. It's pretty much mediocre and has a lot of things wrong with it. We'll get into that in a little bit. So what are its pros? Well, the pros of this film, I would say, are, of course, the animation. The animation is still top-notch and very entertaining throughout. It's very colorful, very moody, and it's, you know, it falls in line with your normal, typical Yu-Gi-Oh! Animation. It's pretty awesome, very colorful. I love the animation for it, hands down. The next thing I would say about it is, of course, the characters. The characters are still, you know, how they were in, like, the original and GX and 5Ds. Yusei still acts the same. Jaden still acts as the same, and of course Yugi acts as the same. They're basically the same characters just brought into a movie, and they're teaming up to destroy this one dude. That's basically it. And I like what they were going with it. I like the three teaming up, and it was nice, you know, seeing their each personality, you know, coincide with one another. You know, they really worked together as a team, and I did like that a lot. The final duel at the end, it was pretty entertaining and very intense. You know, a lot of things happened here and there, and it just made me freaking, you know, like, cool, okay, that duel's pretty intense. And the story, meh, I would say it's nothing to write home about. It's very cliche and mediocre, but it's serviceable, I would say. It's very by the numbers. It's a mediocre story, and to be honest, there's a lot of fucking plot holes in this story. We're gonna get into that. It's whatever. The story is nothing new. Just meh. Just with Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters. It's just time travel mixed with Yu-Gi-Oh! That's the story. Time travel and Yu-Gi-Oh! That's it. Moving on. That's all I could really say that's actually good about this film. The rest? Meh. It's such a meh film. Like, probably one of the most straightforward, cliche, by the numbers film I've ever seen in period. Like, it's just, you know, just wave after wave after wave of just, oh, I called that, or, oh, okay, that happened. It's basically that. I guess we'll start getting into the cons of this film. The biggest con of this film, as I mentioned before, are the plot holes. There are way too many plot holes in this film. Like, I just scratched my head thinking, how? Like, in the beginning of the film, basically towards the beginning of the film, you see Jaden in Venice. And why was he in Venice? Why was Jaden in Venice? They never explained why was Jaden in Venice to begin, and how the main antagonist just so happened to be there at the same time too. Like, it was a major plot hole. Like, what? Oh, and that's not it. The whole main antagonist traveling through time. How the fuck did he travel through time? That was never explained. It was just how. And speaking of the main antagonist, he was so lackluster, very cartoony, very unoriginal. He's so boring. This had to be one of the most cliche, by-the-numbers main antagonists I've seen. He's nothing new. He's boring. Very boring. His intentions were cliche, and plus, never explained. Never. I don't even care if I spoil the film. He's from the future. The future gets destroyed because of dueling. How? They never explained it. They said dueling was the cause of it. But how was dueling the cause of it? You don't really explain that. There's just so many things happening all at once in the film that there's no time to explain it. And the first 30 minutes of the film is, guess what? Recaps of what happened in the original, GX, and 5Ds. It's just recap. What? What? You spend 30 minutes on this huge recap section of what happened in all three Yu-Gi-Ohs, and you gave me this hour-long, boring, bland, generic story that has so many plot holes, so many inconsistencies, and just above all else, how? Explain the logic. Explain anything. Oh, it's ridiculous. It's so weird. It's so bizarre. How was this even made? It's like, oh, all three Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters are in it. That's how people watch this film. Yeah, if you're a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you're not, then tough titties. Now your argument could be, well, this movie is only for kids. It's only for kids who watched Yu-Gi-Oh! And grew up with Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, sure. But even in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! And in 5Ds and in GX, they had a great story. They had time to develop characters and establish bonds and relationships. They had time to do all that stuff. How much time would they have to do an hour-and-a-half long film? 30 minutes of it is recap. The rest is just meh. It's mediocre. It's meh. It's what it is. It's a meh film. It's nothing to write home about. It's just meh. It's just that. So people, that's kind of it. That's all. That's all I have to say about this film. It's just a meh, mediocre film. It's a 4.5 out of 10. It's meh. It literally is just meh. I mean, if you ignore all those cons and just watch it for what it's worth, I bet you can get some enjoyment out of it. But for me, I kind of want more out of my movies. This wasn't one of them. With that being said, it's a 4.5 out of 5. 4.5 out of 10. I don't review for 1 through 5. 4.5 is just way too high for a mediocre film like this. I mean, it has good qualities, just not the best. It's meh. Watch something else. I won't blame you. In fact, watch the abridged of this series. Watch BBT Abridged. It's hysterical. It's basically the movie, and it's abridged, and it's hysterical. Okay? It's a 3-parter. It's like 11 to 10 minutes long each. Watch it. It's fucking hysterical. I laughed my ass off watching that abridged. It's so funny. But that's it. Nothing more I could say. Stay tuned, people. I will try to get more videos on the way. I hope to watch another movie tomorrow. Maybe even today if I had the time, because I am watching a certain other anime that's long past overdue. Yeah, so people, stay tuned for more. Until then, this is the Crimson Assassin signing out. Peace.